I'm John Nahas. I'm Vice President of Business Development for Avalanche. Avalanche is the firm that supports the Avalanche blockchain. At Avalanche, I oversee the business development team with 6 verticals, including institutional capital markets, enterprise, exchanges and wallets, DeFi, NFTs, and gaming. Our mandate is to support the growth of the Avalanche ecosystem across those verticals by growing out the ecosystem of partnerships, such as with OKCoin Japan and many others as well, to expand the ecosystem's reach to developers, users, and anyone else who can benefit from Avalanche, which is a new layer 1 blockchain.
I see. Can you tell us how you joined Avalanche?
For anybody over probably the age of 30, most of us have come into the blockchain or crypto space from different backgrounds, different disciplines. So I used to be involved in many different startups. Previously, I was at a startup that built the money market token for Franklin Templeton. It was called Token Vault. So I was involved in fintech and blockchain and crypto, and then got introduced to the team at Avalanche pre-mainnet launch, so September of 2020. Was fascinated by the technology, very impressed, of course, with the team, and jumped in and joined the business development team. When there's only 2 of us, now we have a team of about 18, 19 people, and the firm has grown significantly as Avalanche has grown as well.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we're glad to partner with you, and we'd love to definitely support the growth of Avalanche. Can you tell us how you got into crypto?
I think I mentioned I was always in startups, serial startup entrepreneur. I had done some work in new media, digital media for a news site called mic.com, mic.com. Was a managing editor there for a while. My background educationally was in international affairs, international policy. I have a master's in diplomacy. So I was all involved in the international realm, then did a little bit of work in media, and ended up in international trade. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, kind of business in the world. Very opaque, very old school, and you're dealing internationally with some very interesting people. A lot of governments, a lot of industries across the board. Sometimes not some of the best governments in the world. Natural resources tend to be in difficult places, but I got fascinated with blockchain and crypto in 2016. So I've spent every minute I had reading about Bitcoin, and then really got into it in 2017. To be honest, I saw this as the future. I saw it as a new development, kind of the initial stages of Web3. Just like the internet, initially brought information to many people, I believe that blockchain technology is going to bring value. So I was talking to some friends about crypto and the possibilities. This is right when Ethereum did its ICO, the height of the ICO boom in late 2017, early 2018. And a friend of mine said that he knew someone starting a startup, which was Token Vault at the time. So I joined. I was the first employee to join that firm. We ended up being about 60, 70 people, led business and corporate development there. So payments, on-ramps, off-ramps, for payments and fiats, licenses, regulatory stuff, liquidity providers, you name it. So I really learned the back end nuts and bolts of how fintech apps work. That got acquired, and then I decided to go fully crypto native and was looking at a bunch of other places. And like I mentioned earlier, that's what brought me to Avalanche.
I see. That's very fascinating. So you've been in this space for quite a while. You said about opaqueness. So what kind of opaqueness do you think you could tackle with a blockchain?
So yeah, look, in international trade, there's 2 kinds of worlds. There's the guys at the investment banks that are trading contracts all day. And then there's what I was working on, which was physical commodity trading, like OTC commodities, right? This is your tankers, your storage farms, and opaqueness in the sense of, a lot of these suppliers of commodities and natural resources tend to have government connections. Sometimes they follow through on contracts, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they seek special treatment. So, there's still a lot of business that's done on the global level that is dependent on personal relationships. So I started to see the ability of, crypto and blockchains, particularly smart contracts, the ability to automate key functions, automate payments, automate back office things that take away the human element, take away any sense of corruption, make business and global business more streamlined, but more importantly, more transparent.
And blockchain can enable that because all the records are visible by everyone. Can you tell us about AVAX? What's so special about it?
So Avalanche spun out of Cornell University. Our founder and CEO, Emin Gün Sürüyor, has been a notable computer science and distributed systems professor for over 15, 16 years, longer than Bitcoin. He was the first person to create a peer-to-peer eCash system called Karma in 2002, so 6 years before Bitcoin. And a lot of his work, his academic work, has focused around distributed systems and things of that nature. So he's the second most cited author after Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, in academic papers. Was an early member of the Bitcoin community and then an early member of the Ethereum community. Some of his students have gone on to create their own blockchains, or other blockchains were created based on some of his academic writings. He never had his own project until he and our COO Kevin Seknicki and our chief protocol architect Ted Yin. Ted is the author of Hot Stuff, which was the consensus that Facebook's Libra or Diem was going to use. You could see the depth and breadth of academic and engineering backgrounds there. They pretty much came to this realization, which was the Avalanche consensus. So in the history of consensus protocols, there's classical consensus. It's been around since the 60s or 70s. That's what Visa, MasterCard, and a lot of centralized systems use, right? So those are fast and cheap, but they're centralized. There's only a limit to the number of people or participants in the network. Then Nakamoto consensus comes around with Bitcoin, of course, decentralized and trustless, but as we've seen, it's expensive, it's slow, and it's unsustainable and bad for the environment. Avalanche consensus is only the third ever novel consensus. Every other blockchain uses some tweak of Nakamoto or some tweak of classical to achieve their consensus. It's fast, so we have sub-second finality. That anxiety that people get when they're waiting, when they send their crypto from one wallet to another, doesn't exist with us. So we're decentralized, we're fast, we're inexpensive, and we have an 80% security threshold because it ensures that the network is secure as well. To top all of this off, it's very green. So a report by the Cryptocarbons Ratings Institute did a study on the top proof of stake chains, and Avalanche utilizes the equivalent of 46 US households worth of carbon. That's infinitely less than Bitcoin, which is 8 million. Ethereum is about 1.6 to 1.8 million. As a per dollar secured on the network, we are the greenest out there. So speed, decentralization, inexpensive, and green. All of this kind of powers the main network, which is the Avalanche network. Avalanche, the network itself, is multi-chain. So whereas a lot of existing chains seek to solve a lot of problems, Avalanche was built from the ground up to really take advantage of its architecture and really fix a lot of the issues that are plaguing people trying to utilize blockchain. So we have an X chain, that is our exchange chain. That's where our native token Avax lies. That's UTXO based, like Bitcoin. No limited smart contract functionality. So it's ideal for sending, receiving, payments, logistics. Secondly, you have our C chain. That's our smart contracts chain. It's an EVM compatible chain. So Ethereum virtual machine runs on Solidity. So any Ethereum developer or tools or applications can easily develop on Avalanche. That's, any token is an ERC20, every NFT is an ERC721, just like with Ethereum. Finally, we have the P chain, that's our platform chain. Its focus is validation and delegation. This allows for the administration to be done separate from the transactions. We've recently announced subnets. And if you are on the P chain and you're on a validator, you can launch a subnet, which is an app-specific chain or a business-specific chain. So if you're an enterprise and you don't want your transactions living alongside DeFi and NFTs, you can create your own chain. If you're a game, right, we have a ton of games coming to Avalanche. Your focus as a game developer is to build the best game possible. You're not a blockchain developer. And we've seen this with other games that have created their own blockchains, that they've had hiccups because their focus, as it should be, is to develop and build a game. That's their wheelhouse. Leave the infrastructure in the blockchain to us.
We have a lot of blockchains out there, but this is one kind of a blockchain, and as you said, it's very novel. That could solve a lot of problems by modularizing these issues. What's amazing is the transaction finality. Can you tell us more about how you achieve that sub-second transaction finality?
So something novel, again, about the Avalanche consensus is that it uses a new way to achieve finality, which is, they refer to it as it's a gossip network. It'll subsample, it uses random subsampling of validators. Probabilistically, it's near impossible for it to be an error. There's a great widget on our Avalanche network site that kind of shows you how it tips. And that's kind of where the name Avalanche comes from, is because the white paper itself was titled From Snowflake to Avalanche. When you start with an initial subset, it builds upon itself and then achieves finality rather quick.
So it's Avalanche because if you have enough voters to change the consensus, develops into from a snowball into an avalanche.
Something along those lines. You start off with a small sample, and that sample grows as it votes.
That's how it develops a very efficient consensus algorithm. I'd like to ask some questions for the investors, our users, and possible investors that might be considering Avalanche. Currently, we see some signs of insecurity in the crypto market. We still think that there's a lot of future in crypto itself. How do you think Avalanche will develop in the near future with this current circumstance?
Our focus is building out the best technology for anybody to use. We do not give financial advice. This is not investment advice. For us, simply put, it's a technology for builders and developers to use. And the token is a method of paying for fees on the network, securing the network as a validator. Avalanche was born out of the last bear market. I think there is a lot of uncertainty out there, but that uncertainty just comes with the fact that there was a lot of excitement over the course of the past year and a half or 2 years. And with that excitement, I think people get carried away. I think people lose focus of what's quality, of what's good technology, of what the priorities of what we're building as a technology and as an ecosystem matters. And it becomes very speculative rather than being tied to fundamentals of what is good technology, what is a good application, what applications exist that make a difference, that streamline business, that democratize financial inclusion, that do all the things that we hope blockchain can do in supporting people and bring about new use cases. We had tremendous success when the market was doing great, with adoption, with growth, with all the metrics that matter. And now it's time to focus, to continue to focus on the things that matter, which is improving the network, continually working with our partners. Avalanche, I think, differentiates itself because it's not specifically focused on a niche. What I mean by that is there's some blockchains that are focused solely on DeFi. Others are solely focused on NFTs. On the other side of the aisle, you have some that are focused solely on enterprise or institutional stuff. And that's great to have a specific focus, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do with this technology is bridge the old world, the incumbent world, the established world, the Web 2 world, to a better, more open future, right? To the Web 3 world, to the decentralized world, to a global world, right? So we have a foot in both worlds. We have engagements with enterprises such as Deloitte, Lemonade, which is a major insurance provider, MasterCard, etc. And on the flip side, we are one of the top chains for DeFi after Ethereum, with some of the biggest names on Ethereum, such as Aave, Curve, Sushi, all deployed on Avalanche. We have a growing NFT ecosystem. I think we are, one of the prominent GameFi blockchains. So at the end of the day, Avalanche has the benefit of bringing all the different things, right? The 6 verticals that I mentioned initially: enterprise, institutional and capital markets, wallets, DeFi, NFTs, and gaming all together, because at some point these are all connected or will be interconnected, and we have the infrastructure to support that.
Again, because you don't focus on a single problem, this is how you get the versatility to apply yourself to many fields. So what are some of the currently popular applications right now?
Aave is always very popular on whatever chain. It's multi-chain. But within the Avalanche ecosystem, we have some fantastic novel and native projects. So Benki is a borrow lending application. They also have liquid staking. Trader Joe is probably our premier DEX. They just launched an NFT marketplace called JoePegs. That's the ability to swap tokens there. That's fantastic. Yeti Finance is a really innovative DeFi primitive that's launched on us. Platypus is a single-sided AMM for stablecoins. So instead of having to put up two kinds of stablecoins, you just can stake one stablecoin into a pool, and it has really low slippage. We have great NFT marketplaces like Kalau. Across the board, we've seen amazing innovation. There's great diversity and fantastic builders.
So we heard a lot of applications, and I guess right now what's popular is NFT, gaming, DeFi. Do you think there's going to be more applications?
Gaming is probably the opportunity to onboard the most amount of people into Web3. Yeah, DeFi users are fantastic, but they're limited. There's a steep education curve to get up to speed and understand how to use DeFi properly. NFTs are fun, but I think they're still in that kind of collection phase. We haven't really seen the growth of utility, but I do think there will be. So I think what we see right now with NFTs is just the first stage of NFTs. I think NFTs are going to have a chance to continually grow and bring utility as tickets for events or access passes, right? If you have a favorite singer and that singer sells an NFT, that NFT might give you access to a private AMA with that singer, access to a music video or a single that's dropped before it's public. We've partnered at Avalanche with Open, OP3N, and we've announced partnerships with Grimes, Simon Fuller, now United, Ava Max. Starting to see NFTs as not just a collectible or a profile picture, but kind of a ticket into a new world. Further than that, I think NFTs are really going to start to become the way documents are transacted and traded. So if you think about college degrees or medical records or a mortgage or a contract, that could become an NFT, right? I think that the potential for NFTs is just getting started. And then of course gaming, like I mentioned, has the most opportunity because there's tens of millions of gamers out there, right? Now with your video game, you have a Web3 wallet, you can earn for playing, or you can sell awards or rewards earned in-game and build an economy around gaming.
It almost seems like the innovation curve where you have the innovators or people who like the new things, like gamers, they adopt the new technology, and eventually people see the use cases from here, and you start having more people adopt the technology until it becomes mainstream. So it looks like Avalanche is gaining traction, and that's how it will become mainstream in the future.
That's exactly it. What excites me that's coming is something that doesn't exist yet, that we don't know, right? Like when the internet first came out, people weren't envisioning Instagram and Facebook and social media and a million other things. Those came about from other innovations and other opportunities. This might not be the most popular thing to say to a crypto audience. I think the most important things that are going to come out of blockchain and crypto are applications that people don't even know they're using blockchain and crypto, right? Like where it's kind of in the background, just like when you send money on PayPal or Zelle or Venmo or whatever peer-to-peer tool, you don't know what payment mechanism is being used, right? You don't know what bank rail is being used. You just know that it's easier, it's faster, it's cheaper. And until we achieve tools that are easier and faster and cheaper in Web3, we won't hit that full mainstream adoption, but I think it's coming sooner than later.
The best way to predict the future is to invent it. So we want to know what Avalanche has in mind for the Japanese market. After all, crypto is very hot in Japan as well. We just had NFT Tokyo yesterday. What kind of plans do you have to make Avalanche more popular in Japan?
Absolutely. So, we've been waiting for quite a while to get listed on an exchange in Japan. So we're very excited to be partnering with OKCoin Japan and to be working with you guys. And now that we're available there, I think you're going to start to see much more presence, both from Ava Labs executives and teams, but we're looking to invest in projects and teams building in Japan, attending conferences in Japan, and most importantly, we're looking forward to planning a hacker house or a hackathon in Japan relatively soon. So in the next few months, hopefully we'll be out there to meet the community in person, meet the developers, the builders, and the users, and really build more bridges.
Well, it looks like we could look forward for the community to grow. So we're about the end of the interview, and we'd like to ask you for some final words.
I just spent 30 minutes talking about all the great things that Avalanche has to offer. But simply put, I challenge anyone not to take my word for it, but to use Avalanche, right? To get some Avox, use it, play DFK or Krabata, experience DeFi and Avalanche, and see that for yourself the difference of how much faster it is, easier it is, and it's fun. So I challenge you to go try it for yourselves, and don't take my word for it.
Well, I guess people could try it because now it's on OKCoin Japan. Well, John, thank you very much for your time. It was very exciting to speak with you, and I can't wait to have more people get in touch with Avalanche.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. It's been my pleasure.